Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Jane, and I am the director of the Lindamood-Bell Academy. It's a pleasure to come to you today to give you a little bit of insight as to what the school day and what the school year is going to look like for your student and for you as the parent. So I would like to formally welcome you to our parent orientation for the Academy. You can kind of think of this as like a back to school night, except you may not be viewing it at night. Let's dive in. First, I'd like to start with Nancy Bell, a quote from our CEO and founder of the Lindamood-Bell Academy. And she says, "Our students are stars in our universe. And what we want you to know throughout this entire school year is we are committed to helping our students succeed in school and in life. They're going to be developing skills here in the Academy that they are not going to get anywhere else. And those skills are designed to help them become more independent learners, not just for the now, but for the future as well." So on our agenda today, it looks like a lengthy agenda, but honestly, this presentation is probably going to take us about 10 minutes to go through. So grab your coffee, grab your water, grab your soda, and let's settle in together and talk about our parent communication for the school year, the LAA Way, which relates to our code of conduct for our students, the school calendar and individual student schedules. We're going to talk a little bit about our lunch hour, as well as homework. There's often a lot of questions surrounding homework and what that means for Academy and for a student's enrollment with us. We're also going to talk about student motivators and incentives, as well as our phone and technology policy. So first, I want to start with, these are really unprecedented times right now. So many more of our students are starting school online than ever before. And it's exciting. It's actually an opportunity for all of us to make use of different technology, different environments. And it's just a really exciting thing. So what I want to let you all know is whether your student gets to attend Academy in the Learning Center, or if your student gets to attend Academy online, we are engaging. We have instructors scheduled every single hour, a personalized team designed just for your student, so that all hours of teaching are live. We don't do recordings. We don't do a quick little tidbit and then work on a packet. We want you to have, and your student to have, that live learning, engaging experience the whole time. And in order for us to do that, we need to partner together. So a couple of the things that I want to let you know of, again, whether you're at home or whether your student is attending in a Academy learning space in one of our learning centers, we want to make sure our student learning spaces are distraction-free and provide room for movement. As we know, especially if you're doing an online curriculum and you're online, the students need to move around. They may need to bounce. They may need a wobble chair or a yoga ball. Those things are available in the learning centers, usually, as well as at your home. So we want to make sure that there's a way for stretch breaks and movement and activity and games to happen while still maintaining as much of a distraction-free environment as possible. We strive to keep the environment around our students a little more quiet. We strive to keep it clutter-free and organized. So just some tips, again, for home or for in the learning center. Additionally, we want to make sure that if you're at home, there is a facilitator nearby to help with any redirection, participation, conduct, to assist with the technology and the materials. If your student's attending in Academy in a learning center, then we have our staff that are there teaching that live instruction in person to help with that. But at home, we want to make sure we're partnering with you to provide those component parts. We also believe parent communication is essential in this partnership. And so a few of these next slides we're going to go over are going to talk about the different types of parent communication that we want to have with you. So first of all, progress updates. Progress updates happen during that sensory cognitive period of the Academy enrollment for most of our students. So if our students are enrolled in a bronze, a silver, or a gold package, they are front-loading a lot of that remediation to close the learning gaps before we get to curriculum. So if your student is doing one of those packages, the updates are going to happen about every 40 hours of instruction for those first few weeks, maybe every 1 to 2 weeks, okay? The purpose of these updates is to communicate with you and talk about the progress, the next set of goals, next steps that we have in the instruction plan for your student. If your student's enrolled in the kinder group, those students and those families are going to receive a progress update after the first 3 weeks of the initial instruction. That's going to be about 30 hours. Okay. And if your student is doing an a la carte or small classroom, those participants are going to receive an update right around the time of parent conferences. And I'll get to when those are going to occur in a little bit. The reason for that is because there's not as much remediation. In fact, it's not even remediation. It's just a small boost at the beginning of those packages to get the imagery language connection happening, so that then as we proceed through curriculum, we can get all of those pieces firing for your student. And we want to be able to tell you about that at those conferences. Speaking of conferences, these occur 2 times in the school year, one in November and one in May. And these are an opportunity. Again, we're going to be discussing progress, goals, and next steps. We're also likely going to be discussing what you can anticipate seeing not only on the report card, but also potentially for the May parent conference, we might be talking about what some academic goals could be for next year. So at the end of each conference, you're going to receive, as the parent, a form with detailed information about your students' strengths, along with areas we want to work to refine with them, as well as ideas to increase their success and engagement within school. We also do report cards, of course. As a school, we issue those at the end of each semester. You can anticipate that your first semester report cards are going to be going out in late January. And then you can anticipate that your report cards to wrap up the entire school year are going to be going out in early June, so that we have enough time to wrap everything up for grading and closing out the courses and finalizing all of those pieces for your student. Those report cards include, of course, the grades, and then also some brief comments about their instruction and their progress. Transcripts are provided upon request. We can do official transcripts for your students where we communicate directly with the school that will be receiving your student at another time, or we can do an unofficial transcript, and you would be able to have a copy of those as well. If you need a transcript, please reach out to your local Learning Center management to put in that request. And once your Learning Center gives the Academy administration that request, then we will take it from there to continue to prepare and deliver those transcripts for your student. Another type of communication that we like to use is called wows and hows. And what you can see here on the screen is there's a little sample of it. It's actually about an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And these might go home on occasion to provide some wows or some comments acknowledging some student successes that we saw during that day or that week. And then some hows, which are plans for how to improve process or progress for that student. So maybe some things that we want to work on with them. We also, of course, have our parent-student handbook. That is something that you received when you signed all of your enrollment paperwork to join the Academy. It's a pretty extensive document. I believe it has about 26 pages, and there's lots of processes and lots of policies in there. But a few of which I just want to make sure you take special notice of are our conduct and behavioral expectations, the technology, absences from school, as we know. There are always times where a student's going to miss some school, and that is okay. But we want you to follow the process of at least letting us know so that we don't have to worry about the student, and so that we can also document whether that absence is excused or unexcused. Sometimes you may have to leave early for a dentist appointment, for example, and so we need to be aware of those pieces as well. It also explains the tuition and fees, generally speaking, a little bit more, as well as our policy on student health and safety. So our goal at Academy is not just to provide an academic environment for your student. We want them to flourish. We want them to feel safe, and we want our staff to feel safe in partnership with your family as well. And we feel that this handbook really helps set the stage for that partnership so that the lines are clear what communication needs to happen and when and how for all of us to remain on the same page. We not only want to communicate, by the way, about challenges, but as this last line here says, we want to make sure that we are celebrating successes. We're not just a school that calls you and says, uh-oh, Billy's had a challenge again today. We want to call you and say, hey, I just want to tell you something amazing Billy did today. That's all. It was a great day. So we partner in all ways. A little bit more about attendance, and I already hit on this a bit, but again, we know that there are going to be absences in the school year. It's just inevitable. So when this happens, all you have to do is just give us a call, either talk to the office manager or leave a voicemail if it's after hours, and then we can go ahead and make sure we record that absence and document it appropriately. If we notice that there's a bit of a concern developing with those absences, we will reach out and just help make you aware of that, or try to problem solve in case something larger is going on than just a simple head cold or something like that. So if you have any additional questions, we always want you to reach out to your local learning center. And oftentimes that means the learning center is going to reach out directly to me as well. So I'm in direct communication with all of your learning centers about your students all the time. I love hearing their successes, and I welcome the opportunity to partner with you in determining and managing those school days and those successes, as well as problem solving anything that we need to. So I mentioned before the code of conduct, and just very briefly, I want to share with you the LAA Way. This is our credo, basically. This is, as the students, what we expect, and as the team, including our staff that work directly with those students. Everybody that works here is special and has a very special skill set. That's why they were chosen, handpicked, if you will, to work for not only the Academy, but Lindamood-Bell learning processes as well. And our students are very special to us. And so we want them to try to work independently. We want them to be responsible for doing their classwork and their homework. We want them to treat materials and our computers with care. And we believe in your students, and we want them to believe in each other as well. And you can see over there what we expect about the team: to handle each other with care, to listen and value and treat each other with respect. And there's going to be times in school where students don't do that. They're going to call each other names. Just because we're in a smaller protected environment doesn't mean that developmental behaviors don't happen. So in those instances, we partner with the student. We want to hear what happened from their perspective. We want to problem solve. We want to make sure students are communicating. And as adults, as part of that team, we want to facilitate that communication and then involve you all as parents as we need to continue problem solving. Just a brief picture. You probably have received this already, but I wanted to show you this school calendar. We are obviously already in the heat of the school year. It's amazing that it's going as fast as it really is. But I want you to reference those. If you have any questions about when school days that are off are happening, for example, a holiday, or if we have an internal professional development day, when the semesters start, when they end, this is going to be your resource. And for our friends in the UK as well, because we're international, we have students across the pond, as they say, joining us. So for our UK students, we have our own special school year calendar that acknowledges those different and unique holidays that happen over in the United Kingdom as well. When we talk about our student schedules, what I want to make sure that you all are aware of is there are many different types of schedules depending on the package that a student is enrolled in. We do have, however, a by design schedule for our kinder through 5th graders, and we also have a by design schedule for our 6th through 12th graders. And most often these schedules include our 4 core classes: English, language arts, math, science, and social studies. And there are opportunities for students to do electives and for students to participate in study hall as well. So again, it's differentiated for our students to allow for the right balance of that sensory cognitive remediation, that one-to-one development, as well as grouped courses based on the package and the subjects in which they need more support. And like I mentioned, there's always study halls that we can implement that will allow students to have that additional time to reinforce concepts and ideas, maybe even get a head start on homework. The other thing to note on this slide too is that we strive to keep the most consistent schedule and rotation of instructors for your student. We really believe in developing that rapport, that trust system. So each student, we're going to try our very, very best to have a core group of instructors, maybe with some substitutes from time to time, because as teachers, we get sick too. And so we may have to have some substitutes, but we strive definitely to keep a very consistent, schedule with your students. Very briefly, again, this is something you will have already received, but this is an example of our K-5 schedule. And we have some students who do attend for a full school day, attending until 2:45. We do have some students who run on a partial day because that's the package they've signed up for, and they stop typically at noon. Slightly different is the K-12 schedule. Again, I'm not going to take a lot of time to belabor this because this is something you should have received with your enrollment. If you did not, please reach out to your Learning Center because we want to make sure that you have this document so you can also follow along the expectation of when your student has what class and when, and is it grouped or is it one-to-one. With our lunch hour, we do offer a virtual lunch hour. Now, for a lot of our students this year, like I said, we're attending online. And so that's a great opportunity to log off and get away from the screen time, even though our lunch activities, involve movement and yoga and strength and STEM activities and art, and they can be really engaging. Sometimes adding that additional hour and being engaged online can be extra exhausting for students. So it is a resource if you're interested in joining that maybe a few days a week as a family, or maybe just not at all. Just communicate with your local learning center so that A, you can get a copy of those activities that we might be doing each month, and B, so that we can plan on how we might need to staff that lunch hour so that we can make sure we're there should some students want to participate. Homework, the dreaded H word, homework. So homework should definitely be expected, but homework is very, very differentiated. We do not in Academy provide homework simply to provide busy work. There is a purpose to everything we're doing, and homework is no exception to that. Specifically, we might assign homework for reinforcement of specific skills and processes to stay caught up, especially in work that was either happening on missed school days, or if maybe an assignment simply wasn't able to be finished during class time, then that's going to go home as homework. And then we may also want to provide some enrichment opportunities for your student as well, especially if they're maybe particularly interested in a core subject or topic. Homework examples might include a little bit of nightly reading plus logging that. Again, incomplete assignments from the school day, helping a student get caught up on assignments. And then the goal, though, is to have this work be something the student can complete with a degree of independence. Homework is not for mom and dad. Homework is for the student. So they may need facilitation and they may need supervision. But the idea is that they're going to be able to do a lot of this work, the majority of it, hopefully on their own. If there's challenges with that homework, definitely you need to communicate with us, because it's not our goal to frustrate a student with homework, okay, or to frustrate your family, frankly, with homework. What I want to say about homework, though, is it's very differentiated, partially based on a student's grade. We look at maybe 10 minutes approximately per grade level. So for example, if you have a fourth grader, they may have approximately 40 minutes of homework a night. That might not be every single night, by the way. Okay, homework is kind of on an as-needed basis. We can have homework be completed in those after-school hours, or if you're a family that has a child attending school until 2:45, those afternoon hours are often used for study hall and reinforcement as well. And we do have some incentivizing Some people call it bribing. We call it incentivizing. Methods to employ for completing schoolwork, staying motivated through that, and completing homework as well. So I want to share those with you. We have our homework punch cards. We have our star cards where students get punches or X's on all of those little boxes and they can earn prizes. And no worry, if you're working from home, we can send prizes to you, to your student to open up as a surprise package. If your student's attending in a learning center, then they get to go to the prize basket or the prize wall and pick out something magical that makes them happy. We also have magical learning moments where we might identify something very special that a student did. It may not seem like a big deal, but to us and to that student, it might be a milestone. It might be a big deal that they spelled all 10 spelling words correctly, or that they completed their homework 3 days in a row, or anything like that. And then, of course, the picture of those magical gems and magical stones, those are something you will see often used between our clinicians and instructors and your student. Those are employed online as well as in person. And oftentimes students will have differentiated motivators and incentives working. So if you've got questions about that, communicate with your local learning center to get something really special set up for your student if we need something in addition to these standard measures that we end up using. Finally, we have our cell phone policy. It's called Away for the Day. And when students are at home, it's a little more difficult to reinforce this, but we're cagey and we like to watch the eyes of the students. So if they start veering off down here, we know that they might be on a phone, or if they're really looking up over here, we know they might be on a different tab. And that's one of the reasons why it's important for an at-home facilitator to partner with us to make sure that technology is not getting in the way of engagement. Certainly it can be used during break times, but we also want to make sure that it doesn't inhibit or interfere with the transition back to class time. When a student's in the learning center, we actually have a docking station that allows devices to be put away. If your student's attending in the learning center and we have them dock their device out of their learning station, and you're a parent who might be concerned about needing to get a hold of your student urgently, do not fear about that, okay? I want you to know you can call the office, get a hold of someone immediately, and get in touch with your student should there be an emergency or should there be a need to do so. But we really believe, and there's a lot of research that shows the amount of attention and energy, frankly, that it takes to not engage with your cell phone or your technology device when it's right there in front of you really dramatically takes away from the ability to focus on what currently the lesson is at hand. So let's partner together and make sure that we're keeping those technology pieces from being distractions for our students. It's definitely a lot that I've covered. I'm sure you probably have more questions. I would like to invite you to reach directly to your local learning center management, as they can answer the majority of these questions. And if not, they certainly have direct access to me. Again, I'm Emily Jane. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. I look forward to a magical and wonderful year of school with your student. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you throughout the school year. Thank you.